Hello and welcome to my latest YouTube video. I hope you're doing really well. Today I've decided I want to do something in my junk journal. I was getting on so well with it during junk journal January, but then I got to the 23rd and things just got really busy and I stopped. And I haven't touched it since then, and it's one of my absolute favourite journals to work in, so I really want to dive back into that today. I couldn't quite decide what I wanted to do, so I'm going to use my prompt cards. And I'm going to do the same as I did last time. I'm going to pick one writing prompt and two creative prompts and just see what kind of ideas that sparks for me. For those of you that have been using these prompt cards, I've absolutely loved seeing how you've interpreted them. It's just really joyful for me, so thank you. Okay, so let's see what we've got. What small changes could you make to improve your life? Okay, that's really interesting and something I've been thinking about quite a lot. Jelly plate printing. I haven't done that in a while, so that's going to be fun to do. And add some texture. So I'm going to just grab all of my supplies and have a quick think about what I want to create. The first thing I'm going to do is use a couple of different colours of acrylic paint, and I'm just going to add some dots of those onto my gel plate. And I'm using the Amsterdam Royal Talens standard series of acrylic paints. And I'm now moving that around the jelly plate using my brayer. And I'm going to be printing onto deli paper. Well, actually, I think it was advertised as greaseproof paper. I found it on Amazon. I really like how light that paper is, but you could definitely use regular printer paper instead. And I'm going to take a couple of prints off of that first paint. And I really like getting that base layer down first. And I'm now rolling my brayer to get any excess paint off there, and again get that onto the jelly plate so that I can do some printing. And I'm using the end of a pencil just to make some little shapes in that. And it's a really lovely way of being able to add some extra texture and interest to your prints. I also really enjoy doing some stamping into acrylic paint as well. Anything which is going to give some interesting marks and textures to those papers. So I've now changed colours on my jelly plate, and I'm just spraying those straight on top of the other paint that was still left on there. I really like that effect. And I'm now adding a stencil. And I'm going to press one of those background prints that I've already done on top of that so that I can pick up the patterns through the stencil. And I'm also then going to remove that stencil and do another print, so that will give a slightly different effect this time. I'm now going to continue just braying out different colours of paint and using a variety of stencils. They're definitely one of my favourite tools to use when I'm using my jelly plate. Just really lovely to be able to pick up all of those different designs. I nearly always have quite a large pile of jelly plate prints. I store them in a folder, just in lots of different colours, because I think once you get your supplies out, it's really nice to be able to do quite a few at the same time. And they're perfect for using in collages, and I'll be sharing with you later on in the video how I'm going to use them in my junk journal. Sometimes the effects are really bold and sometimes they're really subtle, and so just having that variety of different papers I think is so fun. When I'm using my brayer, I pick it up and move it in different directions so that I can try and keep some distinction between all of the different paint colours rather than them all blending into one. I absolutely love how that print is looking. Again, here I'm just laying two stencils side by side and just giving another really interesting effect on those prints. So these are all of the different prints that I've made. And just using a few different colours and a couple of different stencils in different ways is going to give me some lovely variety to work with in this project. And what I've decided to do is use them as a background for these pages. So I'm cutting them into strips and I'm going to make a kind of patchwork effect on my page. And I'm gluing these down with Pritt Stick. And one of the things that I love about this is even when I've added all of these, I'm going to have plenty left over, so they'll be really great for using on other projects in the future. And then once I've got these all glued onto my page, I will just trim around the outside to tidy them up a little bit. But I just love how joyful they're looking on my page with all of those different patterns and colours. And I'm now using a black pencil to draw an outline around the outside of my page. I then move on to the add texture prompt. So I'm using some texture paste through a stencil using a palette knife. I love this stencil, but it's really old and unfortunately I don't know where it came from, so I won't be able to link to that underneath the video, but I just think it's so pretty. And I'm now going to add some paper onto that right hand page. That's one of the ledger papers from my Patreon printables. And I'm adding that so I've got a nice writing spot. And I'm also adding a quote just above. Now that I've got all of the decorative elements added, I'm going to spend just a couple of minutes jotting down some thoughts on some small changes that I could make to improve my life. I really like being able to add some writing to each of my journal pages, and sometimes it's clear like this and other times I might keep it hidden underneath something like the jelly print papers or collage, but I always like to add some writing where I can. Well, I really hope you've enjoyed this video. As always, I want to say a massive thank you to everybody who's joined me over on Patreon. I hope you're doing really well and I look forward to speaking with you really soon in my next video.